Hey, welcome to this week's episode of The Giant Pod. This week I'm talking to my man James Porter, who is a hired gun, a session drummer, most notably has worked with 10 Tons. We're going to talk about his upcoming solo EP, where he's done all the instrumentation himself. We talk about meeting your heroes. We talk about life, death, living in small towns, living in big cities. We talk about a whole range of things. I really enjoyed sitting down with James and catching up. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Here it is. Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. Thank you. Okay. James Porter, a.k.a. Colin Powers, the international man. And
Hello.
10 Tons drummer. And
How
my
are you?
longtime homie.
Yeah,
What an intro.
thank you. That's very, very kind.
I just saw you when I was strolling up the iconic St. Catherine's Hill here in Frome with the lovely Alice Pickett.
We were there, weren't we? Having
were
coffee.
It was like a mate's fest going up that hill.
It's really nice that me and Alice have only just started doing that. Just meeting outside there, but it's such a nice place to people watch, and there's always a little, several different groups there, and you see people that you recognise and just say like hi, or some people will stop and chat to you for a bit longer.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
It's a nice sort of positive thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was almost a bit overwhelmed going up there because I was blowing out my ass. It's all hot outside. And for those listening that haven't seen Catherine Hill, it's got quite an incline on it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, trying not to get here and be a sweaty mess, but I was also quite aware that I was running a bit late and Harry was waiting because I was caught up with a constituent who wants me to go in. They want me to go to their veg patch where they've got a compost toilet.
Oh,
they've
yeah.
just made. They want me to go and open it for.
I was literally going to say you've had to cut some.
My deputy mayor, and I said that's fine. Yeah, I give a crap about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and we had a little laugh, and so now I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go up there somewhere soon and sort of sit on their toilet, I guess, and get a photo
good.
taken. I should probably remain troused for that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You looked a bit flustered coming up that hill.
I was. It was because when you're entering a situation where you're like, your brain's a bit like Jason Bourne. You're like, I know this person, I know that person. I know
Well, you're a
this
man about
person.
town. Is the problem,
A man
Andy.
about town. And the thing is, you go, right, I'm going to say hello to James and Alice because they're right there. You're
Yeah.
first in the queue. Also, I knew I was going to be seeing you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, so keep it short.
But then there was the esteemed force of nature councillor Nick Dove.
Oh,
He was also looking at me to say hello, and there's other people as well. And I get a bit like, I don't want to be rude.
yeah.
I don't want to. But it's a bit overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when you're blowing out your ass. But anyway, you guys look like you're having a really nice time there. You
Having
say
a
that.
lovely chilled Saturday morning.
You say that's your spot.
That's my spot now, yeah.
So you sort of sit on that high wall with your legs dangling over.
Yeah, we tried it last week and thought, because there's nowhere really to sit outside. There's a few boxes outside Moon 2. But they're normally, there's a lot of people around there. And when you're trying to stay away from people, I guess, I don't mind being too close to people, but you feel like you're in people's way, I guess. So,
Yeah, you want to be. Yeah.
We're out of the way. We can people watch. We can see everyone who makes coffees and watch people coming up the hill. It's nice.
Yeah, it's good. I sat there the other day with a chap called Howard Barlow. He'd come down from Manchester. He was doing a piece on the council for a thing called the New Issue. It's like an offshoot of the big issue. And we were sat on a bench. It's outside, just behind where you were sat, where they do the stitching and the sewing. I can't remember the Mills and Boone or something.
So bad with names.
But that's a publisher. We were people watching for a while. We had a nice little drink and stuff. And Mooing 2 attracts some real, some real cool people.
Just a massive eclectic group of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really nice.
So what happens if you go back there next week and that's your spot and there's two people that look just like you guys sat there?
If there's people there, we'll turn around.
Right.
We'll turn around and give it up.
Right.
We'll have to give it up. We might hover for a bit, see if they shift, or maybe sit as close as possible to them. maybe like 99 centimeters away from them.
See if they relinquish.
Yeah,
their
break
spot.
some rules and.
We're gonna break some rules on these
Yeah.
guys. It's like bioterrorism, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So okay, drummer, 10 tons,
Yeah.
arenas, festivals, hanging with the rock stars of all rock stars. How do we get into this? Where do we begin with you? Started a long time ago.
Starts about, I think, like 4 years ago. I'd just been in uni.
Yeah.
It's like, it's always right place, right time stuff. I think that's what life is actually. Like, you can plan for so many things, but it just kind of depends where you are in a certain situation. And I was depping for someone at a uni showcase. So I wasn't even supposed to be playing this uni showcase. Depp for someone, and they subsequently, there was a musical director who was waiting there to try and find people for this new artist, which is 10 tons. If I hadn't been depping for that person, he wouldn't have seen me,
Right.
and then wouldn't have asked me to come to this audition. And then
It is crazy how the
yeah, exactly.
the chips fall.
And
Well,
from
what's
the,
that?
if I hadn't have had that time, then I wouldn't have done any of this stuff, and I potentially wouldn't have got into session work. I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have been picked up by anyone at all. So there's so many different factors. Your life goes in so many different ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's so. And then when you go back and you analyze it,
Yeah.
it's always like teetering on one very small
Yeah.
thing.
I nearly said, because it was all the Depp gig was loads of electronics, which I'd never really done before. I was working with an SBDSX, which is the sample pad.
Right.
Never done it all before. Using Ableton, which I didn't know how to use. And the guy who I was depping for said, "I'll sort that all out, please just do it." And I was a bit like, oh, I know other people that could do it probably better than me.
Yeah.
And so I nearly passed it on.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have done any of that stuff, and I wouldn't have got the gig
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
It's a real happy accident.
A massive happy accident. Yeah.
So why did you do it? Did you go, no, you're you know?
I got into the habit when I was in second year of uni. That was when I got asked to do it. Started getting in the habit of just saying yes to anything that came along.
Right.
But I kind of, towards the end of that year, I started to get a bit more anxious as a person. So more and more, I was kind of doubting myself on what I could do and what I was able to do. It was probably one of my housemates that said, "No, you should just do it. You can definitely do it."
Yeah.
And I think I asked one of my mates, like, being like, "Do you want to do this gig? Like, I don't think it's really the right thing for me." And he was busy.
Right.
And I think at that point, I was just like,
Okay.
I've tried to get out of it as much as possible, but now I just have to do it. Just get on with it, James. Just do it.
And it's sometimes you do just need that one person that isn't inside your head, who you trust to give you the right information, the right answer.
Yeah.
To just kick you up the ass.
And one of my housemates at the time, who's one of my best mates, a guy called Rye Milligan, he was probably the person that forced me into doing it, was saying, like, you can meet some more people, like meet some new people, play a style of music that you haven't played before. And like, in the grand scheme of things, I just did this one song at a showcase. It was at Kentish Town Forum in London. Showcase for my uni. It was one song, a few rehearsals. We did that, and then I never played with these guys again.
Right.
But that was the gateway, like, reason as to where I went from there.
So what uni were you at?
BIM London.
Ooh.
Which is, I think, originally, there's a lot of BIMs around the UK, and there's one in Berlin now as well. So it's branched out. The original one was in Brighton, I think, and then it went to Manchester. There's one in Dublin. There's one in Birmingham. But the one in London was originally Tech Music School, and it used to be, I think it was like the place to go for like pop music, and it was based in Acton. Place to go for like pop music and playing like drums, bass, guitar. If you said you went to tech,
yeah,
you were big.
Okay.
You know Ash Sohan?
Who?
Ash Sohan. He's a drummer. You'll know him on Instagram. He's got the Windmill Studios. No.
Well,
this is shit.
This is not doing it.
Oh, are we swearing on here? Are we okay?
Yeah, you can swear.
Yeah. He went to tech back in the day. Like, it started up in the 80s, I think, but it got taken over by BIM. And when I started, it had just been taken over by BIM. So there's a lot of like money being poured into it.
Yeah.
A lot more students going there. So the competition got a little bit higher, and it kind of changed a little bit. But that's where I went, and I'm happy I went there. You can't look back and think like, what if I didn't go there? Because your life would be so different if you went to a different place. It would be completely
kicking
different.
Around your hometown.
Possibly, yeah.
Which isn't a bad hometown, but...
Well, I'm back now, and I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Some people never want to return, do they?
I think when you're 18...
Yes.
You want to...
See the world.
You not even just see a different city or a different town, just live somewhere else. Don't live with your parents. And
individuating.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
And I think a lot of people from like a small town like this will feel like that. But then as you get older, I'm not that much older, it's only been like 6 or 7 years, but I've come back now, and I appreciate the fact that we've got Catherine Hill, and it's a really bubbly place, and I like to go and sit there every Saturday and have a coffee. And I think it's nice to come back and reevaluate, like, oh, this is a nice place. It was a nice place to grow up. It's just when I got to 18, I needed something different. So
the grass is greener, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
When we did our US tour, when I come home, I appreciated this town.
Yeah,
way more than I did before. I didn't hate it. I've never really truly subscribed to that, like, oh, can't we get out of here? This place is a shithole. Do you know what I mean? Like, I see so many people saying that, and I'm like, so ignorant. Maybe you just need to like expose yourself to a bit more.
I think coming back to Frome is the small town nature of it. I didn't realise how much I liked walking through town when it's quite quiet, and someone saying morning.
Yeah, I expect London is so different to that.
Yeah, no one says that. You get on the tube and everyone makes an effort to look down into their laps and not look at you at all. It's
I find that so strange, that we're such social creatures. We're sort of tribal by nature.
Yeah.
And in tubes and buses and things like that I mean, you look at a guy that's talking to someone he doesn't know he's sat next to on the bus for the whole journey. And a lot of people look at him like, oh, you weirdo. Isn't that mad?
Do you know, so when I think it depends. I think London's a bit of an exception. Maybe the UK is an exception. I think we're very British and like our own space, and we don't like to intrude on other people. Like a vast majority of us don't like that. When I went to New York, at the start of the year, and we got on the subway, and people warn you, like, there's some pretty fucking crazy people in New York, man, like, go careful. And I sat down on the tube and straight on the subway, and someone immediately started talking to us. And as the British person that is used to the tube, I was like, oh, fuck. What's he going to do? What's this guy going to do? And he literally was just like, you been to New York before? I was like, no.
He could tell.
And he was like, this is all the
you.
stuff you want to do. Like, do you want to... and he like started talking to me about some stuff. I put a little bit of tape on my suitcase to like mark that it was mine. And he told me something about Jamaican tribe symbols that resembled the piece of tape that I'd put on my... I can't remember the story, but it's something like... He was like, do you know that's a good thing that you've put that piece of green tape on your suitcase? And apparently it's something that Jamaican culture, the culture in Jamaica, they'd put like a green stripe to show that you were you were powerful and you could defend yourself or something like that. So if anyone tried to fuck with your suitcase, they wouldn't fuck with your suitcase because I had this green stripe. It's obviously bullshit because I'm a weedy little white kid that could not do any harm at all.
I don't know, I've seen you drum.
No, well, then maybe. But
if you had a drumstick.
Yeah. My arms are like drumsticks anyway. They're like twigs, so I still couldn't do anything. But the fact is he just wanted to have a nice conversation.
Yeah.
And once you'd broken that, you started having more conversations with people from there. So New York is completely different. It's the same kind of city, like businessy, like bustling, sightseeing city. Yeah. But completely different in people. New Yorkers are so much more outgoing than Londoners.
Well, it's sort of one of the most densely populated places on the planet, isn't it? Everyone's sort of on top of each other, and there's so many cultures in New York City. And I guess it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you have to do that or you're going to go mad, aren't you? You have to be amicable and you have to make an effort and you have to be open and friendly because people are just shoulder to shoulder with you all the time.
But that's why I think I'm pretty much done with London. Right. Because it's that atmosphere, it's a
selfish place.
Yeah, I think so. Right. I mean, it depends what kind of circles you're in, I guess. But I found myself in a circle that I just found myself like fending for myself, and like I had a few different friendship groups, but I found myself not being very outgoing. Right. Whereas,
did you feel your personality? Because you've got a great personality. You are outgoing, but did you feel like you were around so many people that were so like wah that you were almost like sort of drawn into yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Since I've been back in Frome, I felt myself have way more confidence. Yeah, like because the people here make you feel like you can be like that. It's not so. It's not so aggressive. Like there's not so many people trying to do the same thing. Like you go to a gig in London and you know that there's so many people aspiring to do the same thing.
Yeah, and are they there for the music or are they there to be seen to be there?
Yeah. I mean, it's...
and are they judging you and bringing you into their scene and their circles based on your musical ability?
It's all just like it can feel a bit standoffish. I don't know whether that's like you could talk to someone else who doesn't have like the same anxieties that I do, and they will say a completely different story. Right. But when I go to places, I feel like I'm being like watched. I feel like people like might be judging me. Yeah. If I go and like, if I think like, oh, maybe I'll go and talk to that guy. Like maybe he's like a band's being on. Maybe I'll go and talk to that guy, see who the musical director is, and see if I can get in. But the first thing that will come to my head after that will be like, probably doesn't want to talk to me. Probably got enough things to do. No, we don't need to do that. And then avoid it. Like, and that's what I got myself into the habit of doing that in a very like self-destructive way. Yeah. And I think that's just because I felt so much pressure of being in that city.
Being in London. Yeah.
That I just kind of shut myself off from it. Right. So coming back here has made me think, no, I can do all of these things. Yeah. Regain some confidence. Maybe I'll go back, maybe I won't. Right now, there's not really much point in spending shitloads of money on rent to be in a place where there's not really any gigs happening. Yeah.
I suppose there's like a competitive nature, isn't there, to being in the London music scene?
Well, everyone goes to London because it's the place to be.
It's like everyone moved to LA in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's strange you say stuff like, oh, I'll go and talk to the musical director. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've played London a bunch of times.
Oh, it's in different scenes though, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's a completely different scene. There is no musical directors.
No, not at all. No. Imagine if there was.
You know, and you just
he'd get told to shut the fuck up all the time with me.
Yeah. Being accused of selling out or something. But like, yeah. So I don't know. I've not got an awful lot of experience in that realm. I understand it. I get it. Yeah. But I haven't really been in a position myself where I've been like, oh, I need to go and you know.
Well, you just go and talk to different bands.
It's networking,
don't you?
isn't it?
Yeah. It's networking, but I think in the punk and rock scene, you're networking. I feel like you network more to just make some pals with who you're there at the show with.
Yeah.
Whereas in the pop scene, there is that competitive nature.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't done it for long enough to know if it's just me that thinks this way. But
okay. Now, do you think this is a sort of collective, like sort of almost like not on your part, but like a narcissism? Do you think that the pop, more commercial music industry world is driven way more by the need to be something in someone and in social status than it is in like the punk rock world?
Well, I think social media has probably made it more that way for newer artists coming up, because they see, like, say, Billie Eilish get 2 million likes on an Instagram post or something, and they'll be like, that to them that's proof that she's made it. And I think then if you try and like want to achieve that's what you're looking to achieve, not just to write some cool songs or whatever. Like people are trying to achieve the wrong things in the music industry now. There's a different side of it. The social media thing is a different side to it, and that is a bit of a narcissistic thing. But I wouldn't say, I don't know, I'm definitely guilty of having like narcissistic traits at some point.
Right. I think everyone is.
If you're in the music industry,
right.
If you're someone who creates art, you probably have to be a bit narcissistic, just have the confidence to get on stage and see, look at me,
right.
Look at what I do. I'm
if you get
great.
off on getting on stage,
yeah, you're a bit
there.
Yeah,
it has to be. It has to be.
But I think there's a fine line before you go too far.
Yeah. I think it's when it starts affecting your relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
That's when it's. I mean, there's limits, aren't there, to wanting to be something, be someone, or be respected, looked up to, admired. Those are all things that you can strive for, and it not make you a total douchebag.
Yeah.
But then also, if you do manage to achieve those things, it's then how you carry it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that old saying is that it's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice.
Hey.
So yeah. So okay. So tell me how because you're a rock drummer.
Mm-hmm.
You're like a thoroughbred rock drummer, right?
Yeah.
How does that translate into this pop world? How do you end up playing for 10 Tons? Who's a bit of an indie icon, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is it he or they?
He.
He. It's a he, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's not a... He's 10 Tons,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
How does your rock sensibilities... Because we share a hero in Dave Grohl.
Yeah, definitely.
We both drum like we're going to put our sticks through the skins, through the heads. And so how do you... Because I've gone down the dirty underground, smash up your, I've got 15-inch hi-hats with holes in and chunks out.
Yeah.
You've gone for this sort of Reading festival, indie pop sensation.
But it does,
thing. The same style, essentially.
There's crossovers, and I think the reason I got the gig, I'm not sure, maybe it was just lucky, but I feel that the reason I got the gig is from taking on how like Dave Grohl plays. He never he has his chance to go to play some mad fills, and let rip, but really a lot of the time he just holds down groove, doesn't he?
Yeah,
and
he
just he just lays down the backbeat, and that's great. And I think I learnt that at quite an early stage. So luckily, when I did this audition, that's all I did. And I was talking to Ethan about it, and there were some people that played overplayed loads, and
Ethan is 10 Tons.
Ethan is 10 Tons,
right,
yeah. There's some people that overplayed, some people that didn't overplay, and at the end of the day, I guess it's just who works well in the room. And then if you get on with them, we went for a drink with him after, and if we got on all well together, then there's no reason why it can't work.
Hangability.
Yeah, but I think Ethan's music is definitely like rock inspired. He's into like Foo Fighters as well, and Nirvana. He likes like old rock, but is also into like Bob Dylan and Dire Straits, Van Morrison, like all like the old greats as well. But the way he writes, he definitely writes like energetic, like indie rock songs.
Yeah.
So as soon as like I get given a song like that, I think that how is this going to translate on stage?
And you play big stages as well.
Yeah.
So being a powerhouse, hard hitting drummer in a big festival environment or in an arena, which you have
to be quite animated, I think, in those big spaces, because if you just play quite timidly, like as if you were gonna play in like a radio session or something, it's not going to come across. You have to be quite energetic with it. And I guess we were quite really lucky to have been put on these like arena things fairly early.
That felt very quick.
It was, yeah. We got the first gig I did with Ethan was BBC introducing Reading and Leeds, and so that was like, I've always wanted to play Reading since first time I went to Reading was when I was with you, actually in 2013, and it was Green Day, Eminem, and Biffy. And on the Sunday, massive mates fest, and we all went to like the middle barrier just in front of the sound desk, and we watched Biffy. And I remember you like saying, I think I just watched a bit of history there.
Yeah.
And I cried the whole way through the gig. That was at my first Reading, and I thought that was the best. So I thought if I can ever play Reading, that would be amazing. So being told that I was going to play BBC introducing Reading, we were all so excited. We like didn't think that that kind of thing would happen so early, and I did it. It was great. And then we went back to doing these like small club shows, a few little support tours and stuff. Another year goes past, and we do like a few more support shows, like a few small headline shows. We did the main stage at Boardmasters. I think we opened the main stage at Boardmasters the next year, but it was quite intermittent. All the gigs were quite intermittent.
Right.
And then the year after that, so we'd had about a year to like get tight as a unit. The year after that, we got told that we were doing the Rat Boy support tour starting in January, which was academy-sized venue, finishing with Brixton Academy, which is like my... I read...
It's the one, isn't it?
I got told that's my like favourite venue in the world.
Right.
I got told that I was going to get to
that sloping floor.
Yeah, and it was the best. Yeah, it's probably one of the best gigs I've ever played. Right. But rewind, I got told I was doing that. About a week later, we got told that we were going to be supporting Stereophonics on their arena tour with 2 nights at Wembley.
You get told this, you don't get asked.
Well, you
can tell me to do that. That's fine, I'll do that.
The arena one, we got an email saying, like, are you available for these dates? I think they...
Yes.
Well, yeah, obviously
yes, we are
available. Even if I wasn't available, I'd be free to do it. Yeah. You're not going to pass that kind of
Name
stuff
me
up.
any wedding, birthday, funnel.
Do you know what?
I'm not there. I'm on the arena show. I'm doing it.
Funnily enough, this is dark as fuck. Whilst I was on the Rat Boy tour, one of my best mates died mid-tour. I was in Dublin. He passed away. He'd been in a coma for about 4 weeks now, and so it was touch and go. He dies whilst I'm on tour. I'm going to be on tour for another week. Then it's organising the funeral, which is probably going to be during the Stereophonics tour. I had to play Birmingham Arena, which is like 15,000 people or something like that. It's probably the biggest room that, aside from the O2 or Manchester Arena, it's one of the biggest. Play Birmingham the day after his funeral. And then the night before his funeral, we played Brighton Arena.
So you were at the funeral?
I went to the funeral.
So you sandwiched it?
On my day off, yeah.
You're a good friend.
A bloody good friend.
And a better drummer. Sorry, that was tough.
But it was like, you try and fit things in, and I thought, I'm obviously going to try and do all of the gigs, but...
And it's one of those things that it's like, if you didn't do that, selfishly, you'd probably feel really bad about it the next day.
But you also think like,
and
what would he want me to do? What would he have wanted me to do? He'd probably have wanted me like, nah, screw it, man, don't come to my funeral. You've seen me enough, like, doesn't matter.
Do the arena.
But
I'm going to put this out now on record. If I die and any of my friends have arena or stadium shows, and it means a lot to them, don't be selfish. Come to my funeral, for God's sake. No, go rock out. Do it. Yeah.
I'd wear like, if you died and I was going to play like Wembley Stadium or something like that. Yeah. I'd wear
little black armband AW on it.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
maybe.
Thanks, mate. That's really touching.
I don't know what I'd do. What's your favourite drink? Well, I don't know what your favourite drink is.
I don't know what my favourite drink is. Or like alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
It's probably like, I don't know, I'm really into vermouth at the moment.
Interesting.
Which is really trash.
So I'd have a little bit
vermouth and lemonade.
Little bit of vermouth for the last song or something. I don't drink before I play. I don't drink whilst I'm playing. So
no, I do. Well, I do. I've got a 2-pint limit before I play.
Yeah,
and I've rarely even got that far. Really, it's difficult when you're headlining.
Yeah,
because you'll wait all night.
Yeah. And
then as soon as you're done, it's sweaty pack down and time to go home.
Yeah,
because usually you're away from home. So I don't drink an awful lot on tour. Actually, I haven't really got that crazy on tour in terms of drinking.
No,
ever, because it's always been such a
bit rushed.
DIY.
Yeah.
If we had managers and tour managers and people driving,
you're always trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah, then you know we've definitely kicked back, but there's always, like America, for example, I thought was going to be the party of all parties, and it wasn't.
It's actually just more driving.
You don't want to be drunk on a 5-hour drive,
or hungover,
on a 5-hour drive. We did North Carolina, and we had a few beers and starting to get a little loose, and then it was like, right, we've got to go to where we're sleeping.
Yeah,
1 o'clock, packed down. We had to shake down the promoter to get paid in the car park. I had to use my stature to sort of, squeeze some money out. He was giving us the old, he's giving us some excuse. So we had to do that, and then I got in the wagon, and I was like, right, where are we sleeping? And used to being in England, where it's like 20 minutes down the road in someone's student house or something. He was like, "Oh, we're going to Georgia." It's 5 hours away.
No,
it was 1 a.m. I was like, "What?"
So I'll get to bed at 7.
Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep.
And it's not pleasant sleeping in a van. It's not pleasant.
I didn't sleep in the van. I was shotgun in the passenger. And it was my job
to keep the driver awake.
Yeah, provide stimulating experiences, which I failed at.
It was really hard.
It is. It is really hard.
It's all right for about an hour, right? But then
I've got this crazy memory that I'll never forget. I'm looking to my left because the drivers are on the left in America. Looking to my left, I'm looking at Austin Moore from Dive Bomb, who's the guys that took us out, and his eyes, he's just blinking a lot, and his eyes are red, and Atlanta is behind him, and it's 5 a.m. and everyone is asleep. And it's just me and him. And every 10 minutes, he'll like crack the window.
Yeah.
Get a blast of air, reach for a Camel Blue, spark it up, and that's literally it. And I would join him. Yeah. I was smoking like a trooper. Just stay awake. And he'd have the cruise control on. So it wasn't even like he had that much to do. He just
ideally, you probably want some things to do to keep yourself a bit more like concentrated,
right? And everyone's asleep, so it's not like we could have the music on loud and because usually what we would do if we in England and we're driving back, we'll put Michael Bolton on really loud. How can we be lovers if we can't be coming back from Sheffield? How do we make love? I got like a hooch on. And then Phil Collins. Something will come on, but Tell me about touring then. So you've done you've got the funeral thing done.
Yeah.
Did that hit you after that? Because you're in a huge bubble, I guess, for that experience, aren't you? It's just the biggest deal, isn't it?
When my friend Will Akers, I was lucky to live with him actually. I met him at uni, and I was lucky to live with him for about 4 months. He was my housemate at the time when he passed away. He had a disease called pulmonary hypertension, which affects the heart. Basically, it makes your heart has to pump really, really quickly to get oxygenated blood around your body. And so his heart was just packing in. He had a heart and lung transplant, and that was what he was in the coma for, and obviously just didn't recover from it. So that happened whilst I was on tour, and I got told, we were in Wagamama's actually. We just played we'd played one show and it was brilliant. At Barrowlands in Glasgow, which is just like such a sick venue. And then we'd gone to Dublin, or maybe it was Belfast. It was one of the two. It was the night before we were about to play a show, and I got told, Ethan was really, really nice. He was like, if you don't want to do the show tomorrow, you don't have to. Like, don't worry about it. I was like, no, I'm going to do it. But obviously it was a pretty hard tour to get through. Like I knew he wouldn't have wanted me to just sack off the tour, so I had to do it. Everyone around me was like really, really supportive. It was really only when I got home, when we got back to London, Brixton was the last show. Yeah. And I got to see like my mates.
It became real.
I went back to my flat after that. It was the best and saddest night of my life because he was really excited to come to that show. So we were like, I was really, really happy to be there and really excited. But I remember like finishing sound check and like looking out on Brixton being like, well, I technically now have played Brixton doing the sound check, even though it was really short and rushed. Yeah. It kind of all came over me and I had a bit of a cry and was just really happy that I'd been there. Yeah. Played the show, saw my mates afterwards, hugged, and then I had about 2 weeks then before we were about to go on to the Stereophonics tour to kind of process things and like.
Did you play for him that night? Did you feel there was a little extra fire in the?
Yeah, I can't remember. It's such a blur. Right. It's that like
so much adrenaline, so many thoughts.
So much adrenaline.
And a lot of it's muscle memory, isn't it?
By that point, like you've been on tour for like 2 weeks there, everything you just do. You're not thinking about what you're playing at all.
Just do it.
The crowds were amazing. They're all really like young kids. Like you've played to mad crowds as well. Like when they give you a good show, when the crowd get really into it, like it's a complete interaction.
It's like a symbiotic relationship.
If they're going crazy, you go crazy, and it all it clicks. It all works.
And I drum faster.
Yeah. I get told to slow down, and I've been told to slow down as well. That's not great on my part.
I get that. It's fine.
But I've had Ethan turn around to me before and be like,
dude,
we played a show, like it's headline shows really, like when the crowd are going mental. Yeah. He's turned around to me before like, just chill out. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I should be really professional and know how to stay in. But you still just get excited, and it's still something that I need to work on, is just like controlling my adrenaline.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Because there's times, I remember there's a song we've got called Bad Way. And I would be playing that. We played a show. It's a strange show. We played a show in Germany in a place called. No, it's escaped me. It's lost me. But it was a benefit for Sri Lankan street dogs, of all things.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I can't remember where it was in Germany. I forgot now. Anyway, but I thought we were headlining that one, and I thought that I was really conscious about not going da 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 do go, you know, because it's a strange one because it's a hardcore punk, so it's meant to be choppy and fast, but it's also not meant to be.
It's got to be listenable.
A headline set lasts 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But and I thought I'd done really well, and I was really like trying to pay attention the whole way through, and I was thinking, yeah, I've got this. I've got the pocket.
Best gig of your life.
This is good. and then I watched some footage back because they were all like, dude, it's too fast, man. And I was like,
nah, bullshit.
I was like, nah, how is that too fast? That was great. That was bang on.
You're always
and then I saw
so confident, yeah.
Yeah. And I saw some footage and it was like bad way. I was like, and I was like, oh my God, your perception.
Yeah.
Relative.
Yeah.
It's so. It must be the adrenaline. It must be a primal thing.
The tricky things, like when you're about to go into a fill as well. That's one of the hardest things is when you're just laying down groove.
Yeah.
You can get into that.
Yeah.
But it's the short little moments when you're
the burst
about to do like a fill. You're just going to run around the toms, even if it's not tricky. It's just different.
Yeah.
You get excited about a change, and you're like, and you do that, and you think like when you do it, time kind of slows down, and you're like, that's fine. Like I nailed that, absolutely smashed that. Go and watch some footage back later, and you're like, what?
How?
Take some ecstasy for that one little moment or something. Like I'm racing.
Because I think it's anticipation. Because you're doing it and you're like, oh, this is so good. I'm in the pocket. This is great. I'm feeling this. That girl over there, she's loving it. And you're like, here it is. Here's the. It's just it's wild.
Yeah.
Talking of Dave Grohl,
talking of him.
Tell me about some of the people you've met along the way. I know you have a great Dave Grohl story.
I do have a great.
I'm just itching to hear it.
Let's go then. It's not. Andy is making it sound like it's a great Dave Grohl story. It's a bit embarrassing, if anything.
That makes it a great Dave Grohl story.
That makes it a really great one. We were playing. Me and Andy, Dave Grohl's our hero.
He's the dude.
He's the dude. He's the best. Nicest man in rock and roll. Anyone would savor the moment to meet him and really take everything that you could from meeting him. But not me. Not me. We were playing a show in Germany and it was a festival. Foo Fighters headlining that night. We were on around about 3 or something like that. And we get taken to our dressing room. And when you go to your dressing rooms, everyone's got their names on their dressing rooms.
Oh, get you.
Get you. Get you until you walk to your dressing room and look a meter next to your dressing room is Foo Fighters dressing room. We're next to Foo Fighters dressing room, which is, you're like, well, fuck, Dave Grohl's just on the other side of that wall. I mean, he's probably around. He might not be there right now, but at some point he's going to walk through that door.
You'll breathe the same air.
Yeah. That immediately gives you oh my God, Dave Grohl's I've never been so close to Dave Grohl before.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about this?
Is it like a strange panic?
It definitely is a strange panic. And then all of the thoughts, especially if you have anxiety, think about, what is the rest of my day going to be like? Am I going to meet Dave Grohl? If I meet Dave Grohl, am I going to say anything to him? If I say anything to him, what am I going to say to him? And you think about so many things in this split second.
Because he's such an important musician in both our lives. It just, there's something about what he does on those drums that speak to us in a very strange, natural.
Yeah.
I can't describe it. It's just what he does just translates within my brain on the sweetest. The sweetest
anything
note.
That he does, whether he's playing drums or he's singing or he's playing guitar, or whether he's doing whatever.
Yeah.
He's producing, if he's making a film, anything just
works.
Just works.
There's something about Grohl.
Yeah.
There's an affinity, I guess, with what he does.
And within 100 meters of me. Well, I don't know where he is, but he is. And then
That's the worst bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's here somewhere.
I know he's about. And then we're in catering and we're eating some food. Pat Smear walks past catering and we're like, oh God. We play the show. Haven't seen Dave Grohl yet. The show's good. And we go back to the dressing room.
Do you almost start to relax into it?
A little
You're
bit,
like,
yeah.
he's probably just not even around now. And
yeah, I mean, like maybe, genuinely, he might still just be at the hotel. They're probably, or most of them probably still are at the hotel. Like, or maybe they're on the bus or something. Like maybe they'll obviously have like a massive complex of a dressing room with loads of different rooms. They always have a jam room as well.
Right.
Which I'll get to later. The moment of hearing Dave Grohl actually play drums next to you. Like,
you didn't tell me this.
Did I?
I haven't heard this bit.
we're waiting in our dressing room, just drinking, like chilling out after the show.
How did that show go?
Fine. It's
just like any other.
And like any other show, like any other festival show, just fine.
Yeah.
Like it was good. It's weird when like playing a show in Germany, or like when not so many people will know Ethan's music as they would like if we played a show at Reading and Leeds. Like that's always a guarantee to be a good show. But is going over to Germany, you don't know how many people, like how they're going to react. It's interesting. Definitely
Germans
interesting.
are a good crowd.
Yeah.
Europe in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Have no problem with just like getting loose.
When we did a headline tour there, it was really good because people like Germans just really did. Generally, actually, Europe was quite well received. Actually,
yeah,
I feel like Europeans are just a bit more
open.
Yeah,
yeah,
and a bit more outgoing. Whereas
everyone here is a bit too concerned with how cool they look.
Exactly, especially when you go
to London.
Yeah, you go to London.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh no, I'm not gonna get into a mosh pit. No, I don't need to do that. Someone else will do that for me. Yeah. Someone else will get in the mosh pit, sort this gig out.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go to Germany and people they applaud louder. I think even if they don't like go crazy at the show, they'll whoop and applaud louder a lot more.
They're appreciative.
Yeah. So we're sitting in our dressing room thinking, getting close to the show. Dave's probably in the building now, probably. And then we hear someone start to play drums in the jam room. And you and I, and so many people in this world, if you hear someone play drums and it's Dave Grohl, even if you can't see him, you know that Dave Grohl's playing drums. And we would literally just sat there and he was just...
What was he playing? Was he just
playing just Dave Grohl beats?
Right. Okay. Dave Grohl beats.
Absolutely lauding, doing all of those like Bonham things and all the triplet stuff. Like
that's one of my favorite. I think that's part of my favorite things with Dave Grohl is those triplet beats. Yeah. And the flams.
Yeah.
Clap them. Those just.
But they're so signature to him, aren't they? You always know that is him playing. So I thought, right, okay, well, he's next to us. That's very, very cool. Because the jam room was like really close to the front.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting in the dressing room, door open, like just in case he walks out so we can see. I'm like sitting there like my eyes on the door waiting for him.
Yeah.
And then he does walk out.
Right.
And it's a brief just split second as he walks past the door, and we're all like, oh my God, he is actually here. I cannot believe it. And at that point, that's when your adrenaline just goes mental. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. What do? Well, we're going to go and follow Dave Grohl, aren't we? As probably did everyone else. Everyone else who saw him would have done that. He went outside. We went outside. There was a Jaeger bar outside. To which he was like standing around. Some people were asking him for photos, and we were kind of we thought we're not going to be those guys who just go up to him and ask for photos. We're just going to
call for that.
We're just going to stand around and hope that it works out. I guess hope that he just meanders into our circles. Me and Ethan like really big Foo Fighters, Nirvana fans. we were probably the most nervous about meeting or like being in his presence. Sounds like he's a god. He is a god.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sam, the bassist, one of my best mates, isn't massively fussed about it, really. Can appreciate that, like, who Dave Grohl is, but just wasn't really bothered. Yeah. Sam goes to the Jaeger stand to get some shots. Yeah. It's free Jaeger, get some free Jaeger shots. Dave then goes up to the Jaeger stand to also get some shots and just puts his arm around Sam. And me and Ethan are standing there like, how has he done this? What is he... Sam didn't even recognise that it was Dave Grohl that was doing it. They're having a chat, and me and Ethan are like, how's he done that? What's he doing? How is he talking to Dave Grohl?
What energy is he
Why can't I do that? Why am I not doing that?
Yeah. You look at me, you don't even appreciate this moment. You're undeserving of this moment.
Yeah, I want to be in your place right now. And thinking,
it's jealousy,
like, oh, man, what are we going to... Like, do you think now maybe there's a time that he's going to turn round and be in our group? And lo and behold, he does come round. Sam brings us over some shots. And then at that moment, then Dave and me are pretty much face to face. And Dave says then something, I'll never live it down. Dave then says something about Jaeger being really good for your throat. And he's like, I think someone like says like, do you like having a shot of Jaeger before stage? And Dave's like, yeah, man, it's like really fucking good for your voice. I pipe up. God, my only moment with Dave Grohl, I pipe up going, is it really? He goes like, yeah, man, like soothes the throat. It's really good. I'm like, alcohol, is it really good for your throat? Oh, I'm persisting. I'm persisting to tell Dave Grohl that he shouldn't be drinking because it might not be very good for his voice.
Dr. Drew over there.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. Ethan swoops in with a can and goes, cheers, Dave. Cheers. Cheers is in. And he goes, cheers. And I go, cheers, Dave. And we cheers bottles. I've still got the bottle. And
you got the bottle.
I've got the bottle. And I just slowly sink back into the crowd, like away from Dave. And I look at Ethan. He's like, are you all right, mate? I'm like, no. I've just met my hero.
Yeah.
And I fucked it up.
And he was really nice.
And he was really nice. Like, you expected him to be. He didn't, like, there was nothing. I should have said so many more things to him.
You got all parental on Dave Grohl.
Yeah, I tried to tell him not to, like, you should really look after your voice, man. Like, you should really not be doing these things. Like, I'm going to fucking tell Dave Grohl what to do. Jesus Christ, James, what are you on about? And, like, I was a bit arsey about it later on because Sam started to take the piss out of me, and like a lot of people started to take the piss, like, you fucked it up, like, what are you doing?
Do you get a bit of a complex about it?
I was like, shut the fuck up, guys. Talking about it, like, I don't want to know. But now I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like,
now you've accepted it.
I've accepted it. I've met Dave Grohl. I did some silly things, but
surely that story is better than meeting Dave Grohl and being an arsehole or just looking straight through you.
And just
there's so many different variations of that meeting that could have happened.
I didn't want to be one of the people that go up to him and ask for a photo. And
do you want to be his mate?
You want to be his mate?
Cool.
Yeah.
You kind of want him to see you as like a dude.
Yeah.
And a good hang, and maybe like he'd come and hang out with you later when people are getting a bit like crazy about him.
Yeah. But I think I'm overthinking too much to be able to give that vibe to him. Whereas Sam, I reckon if we'd hung around for later and Dave came off stage, I reckon he'd be chatting to Dave for years. Yeah. Just because he doesn't care as much.
Yeah. Do you think Dave would gravitate towards that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my experience of people that have any sort of fame or celebrity is that knowledge that you know who they are and what they do, and that you might be, you might have respect for what they do, and but don't treat them any different, because then they will expect you to go, when you go, oh, are you so and so, and they go, yeah, and you go, oh, what's that? And then you carry on. You say,
Yeah.
"Oh, how's it been?" Yeah. And I met Ben Elton once, you know, the comic Ben Elton. He was trying to get into the George car park down by the back of where I work, and he couldn't get the doors open. It was like the day after his first show in 20 years. And I was just like, "How's the show last night then?" He was like, just looking around like, struggling with his door. He was like, yeah, it was all right, thanks. Yeah, it's good. It's just proper normal conversation. And I was like, right, I've got to go. Have a good one, mate. Nice to meet you. And I left. And it was appreciated.
I think that's the way.
And you do that with so many other people that you meet. And they like that.
Yeah.
And then you can actually build a relationship with them if you know you're seeing them fairly regularly, or you're going to bump into them again. Is it because they'll see you and they'll go, "Oh, this guy doesn't go straight up my ass."
Definitely. But I don't think you could never expect to try and create a relationship with someone that you...
It's a fleeting thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess that's probably why you overthought it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because if you were opening up for Foo Fighters, you'd know you've got 10 dates worth of potential FaceTime.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe you'd have been a bit more relaxed about it. But your head was going, this is the moment.
This is the moment. I'll never get this moment again. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Does that get to you when you're just about to drift off to sleep at night? Do
you know what?
There's a voice that goes, that time you told Dave Grohl he shouldn't drink that Jaeger before he went on stage.
Whenever I look at the bottle's on my desk at home. I think it's a Beck's bottle, and you know when you're nervous and you're just picking labels. There's no label left on that, because the whole time I was holding this bottle, I was just shredding it like cat claws, shredding this bottle to bits, and there's a few little silver bits left on it. But I get like, sometimes if I think back to things that I regret, I'll get like a little wincy feeling where I'll like jolt in my body. It's the only like physical reaction I get to like
a memory.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a tick.
A little bit, maybe.
That's some deep rooted stuff.
There's a few other times that I think about in my life where if I think about them, I'll get too deep into the thought and then I'll have to wince to snap myself out of it. Yeah. And that's one of those times.
I think we all have them though.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got a few. I can't think of them right now. And if I wouldn't share them. No.
God, no.
No. Yeah, interesting. Tell me about this solo EP.
Segue. Something that I've always wanted to do. I've always just been a drummer. So I've also...
What do you mean, just a drummer?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Come on, man.
Talking to another drummer. Drummer to another drummer.
Who is just a drummer.
Yeah. But I've started like learning other instruments throughout, like since I was a teenager and stuff. But I've always been really like fascinated by songwriting and stuff like that. I don't class myself as a songwriter. I don't class myself as anything like that, but it's always been something I really wanted to do. But I think being in London, and we spoke about the confidence thing, it's just, I've buried it a bit. Always written songs and written music and full arrangements, but never shown anybody. Since I've been back in Frome, I guess I've just wanted to do it a lot more. And the guy I've been doing it with, Harry, has been really like accommodating and very up for exploring for what I wanted to do, and we hired out at the local theatre, the Merlin Theatre, and we recorded drums, and then we've just been doing the rest of it in his bedroom, and he's been producing it. And
so what's the direction? What is this? Because I've seen some of the videos of you drumming. I've seen some phone footage of you laying down some takes. It seems quite fast. It's typical James Porter
actually
drumming.
Nothing to do with the EP.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was like a brief little...
It was like a tester session, was it?
We were just playing some drums and filming some stuff.
Oh, okay.
The stuff that I'm doing is a lot more like reserved, right. I'd say. The more exciting parts are in the other instruments, I think. Like there's big guitar tones, like, and massive textures in choruses and stuff like that. And I think that's something that I've wanted to do because it's not so drum based.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, no one's going to be expecting me to do anyone. No one is expecting me to release anything. No one cares. Let's be honest. No one actually gives a shit. It's more something that I've wanted to do for ages.
Well, I think people will give a shit.
I hope that
they don't give a shit because
will,
they don't know it's coming. Which is a great position to be in, because there's no pressure on you. No one's expecting a particular genre.
But I've made pressure in my own head.
That's good
about it.
You're supposed to, aren't you?
Yeah, I
That's
guess.
how you get things done.
But now, since I've been recording it with Harry and getting all of the ideas, and they're sounding like the vision is like what I've wanted it to sound like. It's a little bit. I have a bit more confidence in it.
Yeah.
We're tracking vocals soon, and that's terrifying because I've never done anything solo vocal before. And I've got to write lyrics, and I've been writing lyrics, and every time I write a lyric, I hate it. And every time I write a melody, I hate it.
It's and the songwriter's curse.
It depends, like on the day. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, this sounds brilliant. I'm definitely into this. And then other days I'm like, why did I write that? That's awful. But because I'm so new to it, I feel it's like when a lot of people say you've got your whole life to write your first album or your first release, you have your whole life to write that. And I guess that is what I have now. Yeah. But I've left the vocals till as late as possible because I've just been putting it off.
But that might be a good way of doing it, because they're usually the cherry on top, aren't they?
Maybe.
They're usually the last bit. Well, at least
I hope. Do you know what? I hope they are, but they might not be. So if it's out when this podcast comes out, go and listen to it.
It should be out, I think, by the time this is out.
And hate my vocals.
Thanks again to James Porter for joining me this week. If you want to see other things that James is up to, then we will leave you some links in the description show notes. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Follow me, Andy Wrintmore, on Instagram at Andy_S1S. This podcast was produced by Harry Williams. And join us again, please, next week on The Giant Pod.